E360 TV proudly presents Messages of Inspirational Stories, broadcasting and live streaming to millions of devices around the world, including Roku, and live streaming to Facebook Live. Also on Amazon Fire TV and to Twitch. Also Android TV and Periscope. Broadcasting to Apple TV and YouTube Live. Proudly brought to you by our host, Donna Guinois, producer and host, Michaela Vidal, host and administrator, and Jim Grant, producer and host. Proudly brought to you by the 6minutewebinar.com.
Welcome to our show, Messages of Inspirational Stories. This week, Jim has been amazing, closing 2021 on a positive note.
Oh, yes, it really has. And we're so glad to be here because now is the time to get rid of all of the things that you do not want to take with you into 2022.
Correct.
And that may include some physical things, but we're going to focus today on some mental things.
Absolutely. You know, I posted this on Facebook today, and it's not my quote, but I wish it was. But the universe is responding to who you believe you are.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. That's that's just, in the cards. I mean, you cannot be denied when you ask the universe, to help you. When you ask something, you request something, I love what Earl Nightingale says. As soon as you ask for it, it's already yours. You just got to, go out and get it and accept it and all that. And, we were talking yesterday a little bit about how people, want to go forward in the future, but they're using their heads too much, and the mind can only remember the past. And it's kind of like driving down the road, but you're looking in your rearview mirror to see, if you're making the right turns or whatever.
Exactly.
And that's a train wreck. Donna, yesterday, I wanted to say something I forgot. We hit a lot on health.
Yes, we did.
With Dr. George Grant and the Academy of Wellness.com. And I tell you right now, folks, there's something you got to do, and that is take care of your health. That is priority one. Because if you're not feeling good, you're not going to be working good or thinking good or anything like that. And you got to be able to reach out and look for things that can help you, as such as vitamins and minerals and whatever, because our food is lacking. Let's be honest.
Well, it has been, Jim, because unfortunately, with the pollutants we have in the world now, the soil is not able to hold the nutrients it did 100 years ago. And so essentially, if you ate 2 cups of spinach 100 years ago, that equivalent today would be something like 15 cups of spinach to get the same nutritional value out of that spinach.
Yeah, you're exactly right, because the dirt is the only thing that cannot replace the minerals and things of this nature that it had 100 years ago. It just can't. And then when you think about farming and fertilizing and pesticides and all of that, that just further deteriorates the soil and the ability for the roots of any plant to draw the nutrients that you need. And to give you a classic example, I heard this said, and when I heard it said, I go like, wow. And this is what I wanted to share that I didn't share yesterday. My parents were part of the greatest generation. They, I grew up in the 50s and the 60s. I was a kid in the 50s, a teenager in the 60s. And it was common for folks in that generation. They ate what they want. They
Mhm.
ate greasy fried food. They drank what they want for those that participated in alcohol. The smoking was very, very, common.
Very acceptable.
Yeah, very acceptable. Yeah. Even on the airplanes,
On TV.
yeah. Oh, yeah. You watch some of the old movies they'd offer each other a cigarette and a guy would light a cigarette, a gal would light a cigarette. I mean, it was just a standard. It was a way of life.
Even on the news stations.
Yes.
Hmm.
Yes. Yeah. And we're not, promoting smoking or anything like that, but I mean, that was just the way it was. So my point I want to make is that they ate what they want. They
Hmm.
drank what they want. They smoked cigarettes. I never saw a place called a gym where you go exercise and work out during the.
Right.
And you know what? Most of them were not obese.
Hmm. But honestly, back then, and I could say this, my parents too, they worked hard.
Oh yeah.
They
Oh
worked
yeah.
hard, and back then, everybody had a garden because that's the only
Mhm.
way you made it through the winters. And that's
Yeah.
especially true if you lived like where my family's from in
Mhm.
Montana, where you've got
Oh yeah.
some nasty, nasty winters.
Yeah. That's true. And people canned their food a lot back then.
Hmm.
My aunt, she'd come over, her and my mom, and they'd work together, and can a
Can
lot of
away.
vegetables. Yeah, can away and preserves. Oh my goodness
Hmm.
gracious, because those preserves are going to taste real good in the
Yep.
wintertime. And they did. And Donna, I've said this a lot. One of the things I love about home cooking, and you guys and gals out there are going to know what I'm talking about when you go home to visit with your mom or you go over to grandma's house. Oh my goodness, each one of them have that special dish that just when you
Hmm.
think of their name, like my mother could make these homemade biscuits. These buttermilk biscuits were about this thick.
Right.
And they were always baked perfectly because she just had that natural knack. And
Hmm.
you could stick a fork in them and just pull them apart, and the steam would rise up. You put the butter on there, it just melt. Put some honey on there. And I
Mm.
mean, the smell of those biscuits, oh,
Right.
goodness gracious. And when they count all those foods and all that, and the reason why all these foods tasted so good is because grandma and your mother, and they added that secret ingredient called they made it with hands of love.
Absolutely.
Oh, Donna, I know you're a great cook, and when you're making a meal for your family and you're making it with hands of love, oh, that puts the icing on the cake, doesn't it?
It does. It does. It's always better, and especially for those of us who love to cook.
Hmm.
It For me, it's part of my love language.
Hmm.
So I mean, it's if I've got my children coming in, and all of my children will be here in about a week,
Hmm.
and I'm all excited because I get to cook, for my kids
Hmm.
and sit down and have a meal with them. And so it's going to be a house full and it's going to be a little crazy, but we are so excited.
Oh, yeah, sure you are. And it's going to be a treat for them too, because it's just wonderful. Because, everybody feels good when someone says, "They thank you so much. I've been thinking about having a meal like that," and we're
Hmm.
looking forward to coming back and sitting down at the supper table. Because I've told people, my mom's dead and gone, and I would like one more time just
Mm,
to sit down at her supper table.
right. Mine are
And
too.
yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. And
Amazing.
yeah, the precious memories that it brings. And so when we get ready to, start getting your mind ready for 2022, one thing's for sure. You have heard a lot of people say, well, be glad things get back to normal.
Good luck.
Listen to Donna. She said it best. Good luck with that, because that's going to turn into a train wreck for a lot of people.
It
Because
is.
if you look at the history of the world, uh, every decade there's changes,
Hmm.
regardless of whether there's been depressions or plagues or, pandemics or whatever. There's just been changes all the way around. And that's exactly what's going to happen here. Now, to give you an idea, Donna, back in the, I'd say 30s and 40s, the big band area specifically, going to nightclubs and hearing the big bands play and wherever they performed at, that was fantastic.
Hmm.
But it was very, very limited.
Oh,
So
yeah.
most people listened to them on LPs. We back in those days, I remember an LP was 33 and a third RPM.
Yep.
Had the record players. You had 33 and a third. You had 78 and 45. The little
Yep.
45s were really popular. The 78s was just one record, and the 33 and a third, that was the album. That
Right.
was you know, and what happened was that people, in the industry, the mindset was that the live performance is primary.
Right.
And the records and albums that we sell, that's secondary.
Hmm.
Well, see, what they did not know and what came up to snake bite them or got their attention, I should say, was that, the mass audience that they attracted had access to the albums and the
Right.
records. And because they were produced on vinyl, and vinyl is making a comeback, believe it or not. A lot of
Right.
people prefer that sound, that original sound. And they heard the music on the vinyl, which had been edited, recorded in a studio, et cetera, et cetera. And then when they go to a live performance, it was kind of like, well, it's guys to see them, but they don't sound as good as they did on that record.
Right.
So the record, which the experts thought was secondary, became primary,
Hmm.
and live performances were just secondary. They were just, hey, let's go see them in person. We've heard all the records, we love them and all that. Let's go see them in person. And Donna, that's what's happening today, because a lot of people think at the corporate level, in business, all the way across the spectrum. Um, a lot of people think when you get back to normal, we'll go back to the convention centers, we'll do this, and businesses will think, okay, we're going to fly our people up, over, fly them all in from all over, whatever. But it's not going to happen anymore, because the virtual stage has now become primary on all fronts.
It really has, because we
Yeah.
can draw in a bigger audience,
Hmm.
right? And nobody has to worry about any protocols being in place. You're in the comfort of your home.
Hmm.
A lot of places, of course, still charge for these,
Yeah. Hmm.
but the virtual stage, even though you don't have the energy from a live audience, and there is a
Hmm.
little bit of a difference with that. And Jim, you and I know that firsthand,
Oh,
uh,
yes.
speaking in India and all over the world. Um, but it's still here to stay. And so
Hmm.
we, as a whole, need to learn how to adapt. And part of
Hmm.
that adaptation is understanding where we're at right here today
Hmm.
to get ready
Exactly.
for 2022.
Exactly. Because business people are saying, hey, listen, we can do the same thing at remote locations using virtual media such as Zoom calls or whatever, and we're going to cut cost. Don't have to
Mhm.
worry about airplanes, airports, all the expenses, involved in that. And people who make the shift for 2022, this is why we're doing this show this week. We want to encourage you to start getting your mental bags packed for the trip
Right.
in 2022. Let me share something with you. In fact, Mr. X shared this with me because he works with these keynote speakers and people who are paid $15,000 to go put on corporate training and give 90-minute presentations. And I know for a fact, and Donna, you know too, from speaking in front of live audiences, There is an energy that you create.
Oh, absolutely.
And ladies and gentlemen, for those of you that's never experienced that, you ask any musician when the band is playing up there and they're singing, the band, and the people are there are jumping up and down, they're clapping their hands and all that. That energy gets transferred to them, and they just, shine. They really
Right.
do. But if the fans are sitting out there and they're looking at them like that, that is a battery drain on their energy.
Certainly
And
is.
don't take my word for it. Ask any musician or anybody that's performed or spoken in front of a crowd. You can tell when the crowd is with you, and when it's with you, that their energy comes to you.
Right.
And when they're not with you, the energy leaves you.
Right. It's
Now,
hard to pull it back.
yes, it is. It's practically impossible.
Hmm.
That's where the professionals just, tough it up and tough it out and go on. But if you look at history and speakers today, let me roll back into history. Back when the actors were on the silent movies and silent shows, and they had marquees like we got there showing our marquee, and now TV became talkies, as they called it then. Though there were the vast majority of those folks who were just actors without saying anything, they couldn't make that transition.
Right.
They got left behind. Now let's come back to 2021. All those high dollar paid speakers who are used to selling from stage or getting paid to speak from stage, and they thrive on that energy, and that is what they have honed in their toolbox.
Right.
For them to shift the gear and look into the little green light, like I'm looking into the little green light up there, which is my camera, and
Hmm.
talking to you. See, I can't reach out and touch you. I can't feel your energy. I really can't. And there's going to be a lot of speakers like that. It's going to be like lost pups.
Right.
They're going to struggle with that, Donna.
Right. And so, at $15,000 for an hour
Mhm.
and a half, that's $166 and some change a minute.
And you're worth every penny of it. Yeah.
But what I'm saying is that is going to change to a degree, with
Mhm.
the exception of in the speaker world, with maybe the upper 4 or 5%.
Yes. Yes, it will. Because what's going to happen for some of you folks who are speakers and things of this nature, what's going to happen, there's going to be a demand for you to come in and do a 15-minute to 20-minute presentation
Mhm.
on a very specific topic.
Correct.
Because what will happen and what is happening, this is for you to your get your mental GPS calibrated for 2022, and don't set a New Year's resolution, set a New Year's.
It's revolution.
There she goes. And therefore, businesses can, keep people's attention for 15, 20 minutes at a time. And they could take just a minute or two to relax, and talk about something, maybe news or whatever going on, or changes coming up in the company, and then introduce the next speaker for 15 or 20 minutes.
Hmm. Now, and a lot of them have a breakout session. And so,
Right.
the one thing that Jim and I would like to speak into a little bit on that is there's a lot of different groups, marketing,
Mhm.
networking groups out there who have breakout sessions.
Mhm.
However, here's the thing for those of you who are just going into business and you're gearing up, one thing I would like to speak about, and I know Jim will too, is that a lot of them will say, oh, we're having breakout groups and breakout sessions, but they're only good if there's something that will follow it.
Mhm.
Right. So, if there's a breakout group and nothing happens from it, you're
Mhm.
not gaining anything.
Yeah. One of the things that I've often said, you see a lot of summits now. Donna and I have been involved with summits. We actually, our TV show actually put on a summit.
Right.
We were honored to do that. And that was 9 hours that we put that summit on, 3 hours a day.
It was a
And
worldwide summit too.
yes, it was. In fact, it was international.
Mm-hmm.
Worldwide. In fact, it was international. I'm
I
doing a
wasn't
little
going to
play
say
on.
anything, Jim.
I'm doing a little play on words if she's paying attention to me. She always pays attention to me because she don't know what I'm going to say. And to be honest with you, I don't know what I'm going to say either. So that kind of keeps us nice and balanced. But the point of it is, the one thing that, ladies and gentlemen, I'm really disappointed in about summits and speakers. You see the advertisements, and I mean this in kindness. I really do. But there's a lesson in what I'm about to say for you, so please pay attention. Summits have a lot of, look who's coming. This person, Dr. So-and-so, Professor so-and-so, TV person, whatever. And we've all been part of that. I mean, when I say we all, here, me and Donna and a lot of people associated with us, we've all been part of it. And there's a lot of excitement, a lot of joy, and a jubilee.
Mm-hmm.
But ladies and gentlemen, this is the message I want you to get. After the show is over, there is no follow-up with the millions of people around the world who saw you. I'm not saying it's our fault. I'm just saying that's the nature of the beast, the nature of the cat. I mean, it's just made there for, we're going to put on this production, this summit, and please get in touch with me. But it leaves an emptiness in people's hearts.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason I share that with them, Donna, and I know you'll want to share some information on this, is that when you're doing business with someone, you not only want to improve their position, you want to make sure they are whole, as in WHOLE. And I know you agree with that, don't you?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And the other thing is that you need to remember when you attend these and you're in a breakout room, a breakout session, or you're on a huge meeting somewhere, a summit, you can't do business with everybody. So find the people and hone in on those people who are like-minded with you. And those are the people the ones who resonate with you, the ones who speak, and all of a sudden you're like, ooh, wow, this is some great stuff. That's the person you need to contact.
Yeah, because it's interesting how the energy works in that. And because when someone is speaking that resonates with you, you know it. You know it. And give you an example, like when I first met Don McGrath, I knew we were going to be friends. I just felt it.
Right.
Little did I know that where friendship was going to go much higher, to a much higher level than just being friends. And when I first met Donna, I saw her at a big event, and then I was invited to go over to speak at her event, and she was putting on in Scottsdale. And then afterwards, we got to visit some, and I knew we were going to be friends. I just felt that common ground that we're going to be friends. But little did we recognize at the time, and I think Donna will agree with that, we had no idea where that was going to go.
Right. We didn't know it was going to lead to us being partners in our TV show.
Had no idea. And that came about, and I've told the story 100 times, but I'm going to tell it again because I like to, and hope you enjoy it too. But I was able to, I'd met Marty Haggard a couple of years prior to, and just, took a picture with him, and then I sent him the picture, and I said, I don't know if you remember me or not, but I'd like to have you on my radio show. This is back during July of 2020, during the pandemic. And he immediately responded, says, I'd love to be on your radio show, so I'm not doing much anything else, because of the lockdown of the COVID-19, the pandemic and all. And so I called up Donna and I says, hey, Donna, guess who I'm having on my radio show? She says, who? And I said, Marty Haggard. And I'm going to let you pick it up from there, young lady.
I said, what? No way. I love Merle Haggard. He's one of my favorites. I saw him in concert. And Jim got real quiet and said, you like Marty Haggard, huh? I said, oh, yeah, longtime fan. And he said, well, Donna, how would you like to be the co-host of that? And I did a little scream. And right, Jim's like, ow, my ear. And, the rest was history. We had an incredible show with Marty. It was on radio, so there's obviously no TV. Now Marty and I were on video and could see each other, and he was talking and he said something and I teared up, and he leans into the camera real close like this, and he says, Donna, are you crying?
Yeah. And I'd like to share something. See, right there, when I just told her about who I'm going to have on the show, and then she responded like that. How much she loved Merle Haggard, how much she just, exactly what she said there. And immediately I said, hey, the show needs this energy.
Right.
And so the point I want to make and share with you folks is that when you're doing business with someone or you're working together with someone, that energy is going to come.
Right.
Recognize it and don't try to corral it. Be sure you try to share it. That's the secret. And as a result of that, we did the show. And after the show, Marty was in no hurry to go anywhere.
No.
We sat there and visited, 15 or 20 minutes after the show was over, just talking like, friends, because that's exactly what we are. We're friends. And, but right after the show, it wasn't no 15 or 20 minutes. It might have been 15 or 20 seconds. Donna, what did you say to him? You said something. I'm trying to remember what it was. No,
I said, hey, Marty, would you be on my radio show? And he said, well, sure, Donna, I'd love to. I said, all right. Just that easy peasy.
And then Donna up and said, well, she says, since Jim had me as a co-host on his show, I'm going to be a co-host on my show. So I tell people between my show and her show, we just kind of like co-hosted together.
Yep. And we're still doing it today.
Yeah. But it was in that show there, ladies and gentlemen. And that one there was on camera. And you did a video on that one there where we had just three of us. That was when I felt the chemistry between us, that we complement each other as great partners. And then the way this TV show all came about, it all came about the pandemic. We had a meeting with our executive training directors about the pandemic back in March of 2020, and Bill Heinrich. And let's see if we got Bill's. While I'm telling the story, see if you can find Bill's.
Why don't you tell it and I'll look?
Okay, all right, because she knows I can't do two things at once. But Bill came up and he says, "Hey, before we go any further, he says we need to address this pandemic." He says we know a lot of speakers. We got Zoom, we got Facebook Live. We should put on some positive message for people in their hour of need. Make a note of that, ladies and gentlemen, because right now there's someone out there, there's people out there, I should say, that are searching for you and what you have to offer. So make a note of that, okay? And so that's exactly what we did. And Dr. Sonny Jackson said, well, I can do this. And Tamara Hunter said, I can do that. And I forget, one or two other people said, you can do this. And Don said, well, I can put together the list of all the speakers that we know and blah, 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 blah. And then Don looked at me and he says, Jim. And I said, yeah. He says, you can host it. And I said, okay, I can do that. Because I was already hosting my radio show on Friday, and we've got over 6 million downloads on the radio show. But that's how it all began. And that's how opportunities sometimes come.
Mhm.
My point in being and sharing that with you, because Donna, a lot of times things come to us that we haven't even thought about.
Oh, absolutely.
Hmm.
Opportunity knocks when you least expect it.
Hmm. It really does. And,
You
like
have to
when,
just be aware when it does knock, if I can add this, to
sure,
say,
please.
hey, that is an awesome idea.
Hmm.
Let's go with that. Don't
Yeah.
ignore it. Oh my
Mm-mm.
gosh, don't ignore it.
Give thanks for it and embrace it. And
Mhm.
then do what Donna has a specialty in as far as she is the high energy coach. And Donna, I tell you right now, it's amazing to me how many people that you've helped. And I love the story you shared the other day. Would you share another one of your success stories with people that come to you?
Yeah, absolutely. Just, you know, when people are stuck and they're stuck with three things, it's usually a person, a place, or a thing. And that's where our energy gets stuck and we loop it. Okay. It just loops and loops and loops within us. And there's no place to go because you're not understanding it and how to get rid of
Mm-hmm.
it. And so, I've had many clients, and one in particular came to me and couldn't get unstuck and has tried many different coaches and many different things. And I said, well, let's sit down and see if we can work together. And sure enough, we can work together. So the difference in what I do is the intake, if you will, is the
Mm-hmm.
same, right? The questions are kind of the same because I need a baseline to help somebody off of. But in that baseline, your answers are all what's so different. And from there, we can dive into the one area that they may not even know is the
Mm.
problem. And I
Mm.
find it in the way I've structured the questions that I ask for that baseline. And so in just working together, this one particular client was like, I never saw that. I
Mm-hmm.
never saw it.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was this when it's really this,
Mm-hmm.
whether again a person, a place, or a thing. And
Mm-hmm.
then once that comes to light, and then we can just kind of work through it,
Mm-hmm.
all of a sudden they're like, oh my gosh, I get it. And it's like 1,000-pound weight is lifted
Mm.
off your shoulders.
Yeah. I love Donna when she shares stories like that because it enables all of us to learn from what she's saying. Because Donna's real nice. She talks about a person, place, or thing. Let's get real. It's an aggravating person, an aggravating place, and an aggravating thing. I mean, let's just take the slack right out of the chain there. But listen to what she was saying. She asked questions. See, as an entrepreneur out there, my goodness gracious, Donna and I can share so much information with you because you're struggling trying to find out how to fine tune what it is that you present.
Hmm.
As a complimentary gift to you, if you get in touch with Donna and me and say, "Hey, I'm struggling. I'm spinning my wheels here," and let's just put she's putting our email address up there. Just email us here at the studio of e360tv.com at inspiration at e360tv.com. It comes in, our staff will make sure that it goes to the proper party. And because notice how Donna asked questions to better qualify the client, to find out what his needs were or her needs were.
Right.
And, they may be, strong in this area, but very weak in that area because a one size, obviously, in counseling does not fit all.
Right. And just understanding where somebody's uh, energy pattern is stuck,
Hmm.
right? Because they
Hmm.
don't see it. And then what happens when you're stuck is we operate in fight or flight.
Mm.
Right? We're not operating here out of our heart and out of love because again, it's that loop. And do
Hmm.
we fight it or do we fly from it?
Mm.
What are we going to do? Right? So we've
Yeah.
got to learn to understand it, to assess it, and then let it go. And then you operate right here from your heart.
Yeah, exactly. Because I like the way Donna shares that, because when you look at your business, when you're communicating with your clients, the one thing that you want to do, very first thing you want to do, is to repel all of the people that you cannot help.
Yep,
That's important, isn't it, Donna?
it is. And you're going to repel between 80 and 90% of them.
Hmm. And why is that?
Because you can't help everybody.
Yep.
You
And
just can't
besides,
help everybody.
that's right. And besides that, they will eat up your time.
Mm. Like a
And you will,
termite to wood.
yep. And you will not be able to connect with your ideal client who is really out there listening, and they want to find you.
Correct.
And Donna, I'd like for you to share what Mr. X said about how your news, make the news. He used several different examples, but just share what comes to your mind there, if you would.
He did. He was working for, oh my goodness, it was for a
Emory,
Emory, yes,
yeah,
and which is a
Emory Air
delivery
Freight. Hmm.
a delivery service, and they had
Hmm.
went from a little teeny plane
Piper
to
Cub.
to a 747, and he said, "This is news. This is newsworthy," and everybody said, "Oh no, it's not. That's a silly." Well, he said, "No, it's absolutely newsworthy." So Mr. X did what he does in his magic, and he got a news crew at 4:30 in the morning filming the plane coming in and loading up everything and taking off.
Yeah. Can you imagine getting a news crew out at 4:30 in the morning, cameras there, and you also had the Port Authority there. I forgot
Right,
about that. And they're watching an airplane coming in, and they're filming it. One of those knobs, and like the little tattoo there on Fantasy Island, the plane, boss, the plane.
right.
I mean, 4:30 in the morning, getting a news crew from a local TV station out there to film an airplane landing. I'm going like, are you kidding me?
And it upticked their sales.
Yes, yes, yes. Because he had a vision. And the one thing that he
Mhm.
shared with us, and oh, goodness gracious, this is a gold mine for a lot of you folks out there. I don't care where you live, doesn't matter, it's irrelevant. He shared how you can become a trusted source when it comes to content,
Right.
and how to write your content and things of this nature. Mr. X will, give you 30 minutes of time if you donate $100 to the Shelter to Soldier organization. We will talk about in a minute. But he was saying, being able to get your content and keeping it condensed to where it's just got pow, 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 pow information to it, make the content creators who are going to print that, or going to share that, make their
Right.
job easy so they can copy and print, or copy and paste. Then you become a trusted source, and that way you get your name out, and you can talk about the work that you're doing, just being a guest speaker with any local civic club. I mean, there's a lot of ways to get going without spending money, in there, Donna.
Right. Right. There absolutely is. You just have to look in your
Mhm.
area or your surrounding area.
Mhm. Yeah, because if you want to, speak at, one of the organizations there locally, uh, contact someone like the Lions Club or
Mm.
any civic club in your area. And
Shriners.
yeah, just go to them. And there's a lot of things you can do. The main thing is just ask them, say, could I speak at your luncheon, or could I share some information at your luncheon? And they'll probably say yes, because they're always looking for good quality people, or people who can speak and not just jabber.
Right.
We had a guy out in Colorado Springs, and Don, I don't think I've ever told you about this. We went out to, I'm not going to name the organization. It was a well-known, internationally known, service club and service organization. And the guy, oh yeah, he's a big talker, and oh yeah, I can do this, I can do that, and I can do the other. Don says, well, great. He says, let me, put you through the little training that we're going to do here for this particular organization to be able to go international. Oh yeah, I'm your man. And of course, all he wanted to do was jabber, talk about himself.
Right.
And Don McGrath is going, it's not about you, Cupcake. It's not what you want to say. It's what the people out there want to hear.
Right.
And a lot of people want to jabber about themselves. That's one thing you need to take to the dump in 2021. Because, Donna, we've seen that, haven't we?
Unfortunately, yes. So, there is a time and a place when you are speaking, whether it's in front of people or on a virtual stage, it's all the same, doesn't make any difference. There's a time and a place to introduce yourself.
Yes.
But understand your introduction needs to be about this big and your content needs to be about this big.
Mm-hmm. That's a great point, Don. It really is, because like when we started out, speaking at the summits that we were on, we didn't start out with, like, I'm Jim Grant, producer and host of TV show host of E360 TV messages. See, I can't even say it now, so I didn't say it then. But what I remember talking about is that during my presentation, I'm going to share with you 3 ways that you can make your community a better place to live. And see, that way, it wasn't about what I'm bringing to the party. It's the message that I'm delivering to the audience. That's the key.
Right.
Because, and Donna, you made a very similar type of introductory about yourself.
I did, except I started mine out with, I'm going to talk to you today about how your energy affects you and your community. But before I get into that, let me ask you all a question. Have you ever felt like you have no energy for yourself, let alone to give others? I have. That's how I started one of my speaking engagements on a summit.
Notice there, she used the power of the pause. She did something that really, everybody likes that BS. Let me ask you a question, or let me ask for your opinion. People love to give you their opinion.
And then don't be afraid to say, I have.
Yeah, exactly.
Because then you become part of the audience.
Yeah. Because a lot of people get out there, and this is why we're going through this for you folks out there. If you're going to speak at a civic organization or anything like that, and there's some information you want to share, you want to make sure the value is there for the benefit of the people or the community, okay? Right. But if I'd have started out my presentation like this, hello, everyone, I'm Jim Grant. I'm the producer and host of the TV show Messages of Inspirational Stories that broadcast live on E360 TV. And I'm also got a radio show. Your Future Is Now. It's on TogiNet Radio. We're also on iHeartRadio. We're on Google. We're on Spotify, Spotify, it's all about me.
Right. And you've already lost your audience.
There's a danger there too, isn't there, Donna? I could be acting like I'm up here.
Right.
And how many people out there are down here?
Right. Then they feel like they cannot connect with you. And that's
they won't.
Right. That's the exact opposite thing of what you want to happen. So you need to connect with your audience. And by connecting with your audience, you need to talk with your audience.
Share things.
You need to talk with your audience, not to your audience. There is a difference.
Oh, yeah.
And there's ways to do that. There's, the power, like Jim said, the power of pause. There's dropping your voice, being a little more quiet. Have you ever felt that way? Asking those questions, asking those yes questions, and it brings your audience with you on that journey.
You're exactly right, because everybody wants to feel good.
Right.
And
they want to feel part of something.
Yes. And then if they're I'm going to go use this example. If they're in debt and they owe some money, and you are a person who counsels people how to get out of debt, and you don't declare bankruptcy or anything like that because that'd just be an attorney and it's done. But you're a person who's able to counsel them about debt, how to communicate with their debtors and things like that. Then your perfect comment that you would like to say is, how would it feel
Right.
for you to work your way out of debt and be on your way to creating a future where you and your family are financially free?
It'd feel
That is
great,
powerful.
right?
Yeah. You ask them the yes question that you want.
Mhm.
Yes,
Absolutely.
they want to be out of debt. Yes, they want to feel financially free. I mean, even
Yeah,
the dumb
I want
boys
my
out.
credit rating up there.
Yeah. Even my buddy Einstein said, sounds good to me, Jim. Sign me up for that club. But yeah, always ask the present the opportunity in a way that will lead them from where they are to the yes that they want to be, and make sure you're showing them that you've got a very clear pathway
For
to
them.
where for them.
Mhm.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Because it's not about you.
Never about you.
No.
Just
it's
like here
about-
on the TV show, we shared a few things about, Donna and myself and all that, but you can tell it's not about us.
Right.
I hope so.
I'd be mortified if it was.
I know it. I know it. We would not. I'll tell you this much, and I mean this in humbleness and gratefulness, and also mean this from my heart of thankfulness. In the month of July alone, Donna and my show, we grew, according to E360's numbers, not ours. We can't make this up. We grew about 15%.
Mhm.
And we saw our audience increase just on Roku from 17% to 21.1%. And it really, it was a nice surprise for us.
It's very humbling, though.
Yes, it is. Because you folks out there, you have the power to pop up there and hit that red X and say, I'm like Shania Twain, I'm out of here, But, it just really blesses us because we realize we're on your time.
Mm-hmm. We are.
We really, truly are. And have that mindset when you're talking to your potential client. How do they feel? Are you a good fit for them? Or I'm going to ask Donna to say this because I know Donna's got the courage to say this because this is the integrity that she has. There may be someone that you're not a good fit for. Isn't that right?
Absolutely. And that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
That's okay. And the best thing you can do is, if you are not a fit for them and you know somebody in your industry who is, refer them.
Mm-hmm.
Refer them, because that shows your integrity.
Mm-hmm.
It shows that you have the highest respect for somebody who is in your field. Now, notice how I said that, folks. You have the highest respect for somebody in your field, not one of your competition. Competition only exists in your mind. If you put it in there, it's fear-based. And fear-based will bring you down here instead of up here.
It sure will. And whatever you have in your mind is automatically going to be transferred to your client's mind.
Mm-hmm.
So make sure you don't pack any baggage up there in your mind that you carry over into 2022 like, oh, I got competition. The only people who have competition are the people who are competing with price.
Mm-hmm.
People that have true value, they don't have any competition.
Right.
And Donna, correct me if I'm wrong, but if you have true value and your heart's in the right place, the people who want to do business with you you're going to attract them.
Absolutely.
And I like to use the
Absolutely.
expression, I'm an old dumb country boy. I like to use the expression. It's kind of like a light, one of these lights out there on a pole at night, on a summer night. And you see all these bugs. Because the reason why the bugs come there, do you know why the bugs come there?
Because the light's on.
Yep, the light's on, and they're always looking for that bright light.
Hmm.
And there's people out there who are looking for your shining light.
Right.
And if you're walking around with competition in your mind, you're walking around with all these negative things
With
like
fear, which is
worry.
nothing but negative.
Yeah, you automatically put a big, huge black lampshade over your light.
Right.
Just stay home. Just stay home.
It's true.
Mhm.
Couldn't be said any better. So,
Oh, yeah.
referring people, the other thing that you have to understand is that if you can't help a client and you can refer them to
Mhm.
one of your peers,
Mhm.
that that also will be reciprocated
Mhm.
by that person whom you're referring them to.
Yes, yes, yes. And that's
And
why you need a network of people, partners.
right, a marketing partnership.
Mhm. That's what you want. You want a marketing partnership with everybody, whether they advertise with you, whether they buy from you, whatever it might be, or if you're associated with people, everybody's a marketing partner. It's a
Right.
team effort.
Look at it like this. Look at it like a group of doctors. Doctors usually have a specialty, right?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Right. So, are you going to have a neurosurgeon take care of a bunion on your toe? Probably not,
Mhm.
but he'll refer you,
Right.
right? So it's kind of the same
Hmm.
idea out there, folks. That is just referral. It's
Yes.
just about referrals.
Yes. And it takes a lot of courage. And this is what I was, getting at with Donna, and I know she's got it. It takes a lot of courage in your morals, your values, and your ethics to say to someone, you know, I've got a client that is more equipped, or however you want to word it. I'm struggling for the right word now, but in
That
other
I
words,
think is better suited for
a
what
better fit.
your specialty, a better
Yeah,
fit.
a
Mhm.
better fit for you than I am. So
Right.
please let me introduce them to you, and let's see how that works out for you.
Hmm.
See, that has integrity. It really does. And you're being open, you're being honest. And
Being
it's
very
just,
authentic.
yes, people love for people to be honest and authentic. And those that's going to connect with you, and because they know you've got morals, values, ethics, and you're very authentic in everything that you do,
Mhm.
they're gonna love you so much. When they come across a friend that's going through what they went through, it's kind of like that. Remember that old hit back in the mid '80s? Ghostbusters. Who you gonna call? I mean, they're gonna say, "Hey, you need to get in
Right.
touch with Donna," you know, because they know, like, and trust Donna. They know Donna's authentic. That is the reputation that you want to have, ladies and gentlemen.
Right.
And you can have it, and no one can take it from you. The
Right.
only one that can take it from you is you yourself.
Hmm.
And Donna, we're getting close on time, but I got to add one more nicety thing to go before we close out of here. And I'm a searching down. Oh, here we go. Here we go. Here we go. You've heard me talk about this many, many times. The Strangest Secret by Earl Nightingale on YouTube. Please, 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 please do yourself as I like to say, do yourself a flavor instead of a
Right.
favor, a flavor. It's an MP3 that's been uploaded to an MP4. I'm getting a little technical here, but what that means is just a man's picture and the audio. That's an MP3 that's been converted to an MP4. It doesn't have any video there, okay? So therefore, you can put that in put it on your phone, put on your earbud. I call these things earbobs or earbuds, whatever they call them, and listen to them while you're doing something else. You may be driving a car, you may be washing dishes, you may be, doing anything, but listen to the message, because
Hmm.
in that message, the strangest secret, you will see that you are entitled to love and abundance. I don't
Yes.
care. I don't care if you're as poor as a church mice. I don't care about that. That's irrelevant because that's where you are right now. It's not where you're going to be.
Right.
Isn't that right, Donna?
That's absolutely right.
Mhm.
So understanding how to get there is
Mhm.
half the journey.
Oh,
And part of
and
that is getting that fear out of your head.
yeah, and be like me and Donna. We enjoy the journey. We really do.
It's
If
been
you
a
missed
blast.
if you missed yesterday's show, you missed a big time snort from Donna or Donna, wherever she's sitting at. Sometimes she's over here, sometimes she's over there, and sometimes she moves around on me. Almost had to pick up the phone and say, yes, could we have an ambulance over here? Donna needs some oxygen.
Right. He had me going.
But laughter is one of the great things about you that you can do for yourself to enhance your health, your mood, your attitude, your everything.
Absolutely.
I remember as a boy growing up as a kid in the 50s and overly intelligent teenager in the 60s, I like to add. Overly intelligent. A giant moan mind. A lot of canyon space in there, I guarantee you. But I used to hear men walk around whistling, walking down the street.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll guarantee you today, if I or you or anybody else is going down the street whistling, there's going to people look at us like, what's wrong with you? How come you happy?
Right. He's crazy.
Yeah, because they enjoy being miserable.
Right.
That's one of those aggravating persons, aggravating things, and aggravating places that Donna mentioned the person, place, and thing. I added the aggravating for free because that's what they are. They're aggravating. That's some of those people you need to, in my broken Spanish, just say el mucho, el hadioso, and goodbye, oh.
You're right.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Jim, we are out of time. We need to
Gosh.
wrap up. So the good news is, folks, we will be back tomorrow.
You bet. You bet. Hey, folks, thank you so much. Donna and I, we sincerely hope and pray that you and your family are blessed with health and happiness and just smothered in love.
Mm-hmm.
Love yourself and then love others. And be good to yourself. Don't be hard on yourself. Forgive yourself. If you're like me, yeah. Now, most of you people won't relate to this, but this is for just people that relate to me. Forgive yourself for being dumb and doing stupid things. I don't have a patent on that. But, really, it's important because a lot of times we beat ourselves up unnecessarily.
Right.
And Donna, that robs us of what? When we beat
Robs
ourselves
us of
up.
our joy and our energy.
Mm-hmm.
And it robs you of love.
Amen.
So love yourself, love others, have a beautiful, safe day, and we'll see you tomorrow, folks. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.